So, hello and welcome back to the next episode of the Self. I'm so sorry, but my windows were open, and when they are open, you can't hear anything what I'm saying. So, hello and welcome back to the next episode of the Self Development with Tactics podcast. And as you finally can see in the background, we will discuss the last part of the definitive book of body language. I was quite hoping that I do have the ability to just, get on the side and or pretty much not getting restricted from actually watching the content or seeing the content, because actually I haven't been making one episode in a day. So yesterday there were only scheduled posts or scheduled videos and/or podcast episodes, and therefore I really had one full day of not doing anything. Which I was quite a little bit feared about, because first of all, in terms of speaking then English, it's always a little bit difficult, because if I'm just speaking the whole day long German, I do not really just get into speaking English that well from the first beginning on and so on, which is a little bit a pity, definitely, but I just see that it is working quite fine again. And I do hope the audio is good, because actually yesterday there would have been 2 episodes as well. So when I do have the time, and yeah, I definitely take the time for doing it, I definitely do 2 episodes a day in my vacation period or my holiday period or whatever. So when I do not have school, because yeah, I can actually make them. Therefore, just I wanted them to be on yesterday as well. So yesterday should have been 2 episodes, but the thing is, one of these episodes was broken actually. This was the first time ever that one full episode was completely broken, and I wasn't pretty much able to use the whole thing, which was a little bit a pity. I do just try afterwards maybe to kind of solve this problem, because the audio is just really fucked. Yeah, totally. Which is a pity, which is a little bit, it pissed me off that day, because I was doing 4 episodes a day, which is an incredible amount of, quite work. And I've seen that I'm not pretty much able to do it, because it's like, I do just, really use the whole power on the first few episodes. And if, the more episodes I do, the less energy I have. And, because they are just really long, so half an hour, and so on, this is also a little bit time consuming. So therefore, we will just go ahead with fucking power in the last part of the definitive book of body language. And as I was looking through this whole summary or this whole article to see where I've stopped, I've just seen that there is so much into it, and I do really hope that I haven't missed anything out. But if I have, I would really suggest you to just type in the definitive book of body language summary and then scroll down to the powermoves.com website. It is an incredible website with a lot of great information and great summaries of great books, and which is not normal. You do have a lot of pages with book summaries and/or book reviews actually also, but often they are not very detailed, and they're just maybe 1 sentence summaries, which isn't good in terms of the information. But yeah, this is a really great fucking website to just learn things pretty quickly, or yeah, just gain knowledge. So we will go ahead with interviews, office, politics, and power plays. Bauer and LP say that most job interviews are not productive. Studies show indeed we tend to hire the person we like the most, not the one who is best for the job. People says that most good stuff from the CV, which is I've forgotten it. What really matters is forgotten. My name, my note, so the note from the author of this article. Many great business leaders I follow don't hire based on CVS, but on personalities. And of course, there's Linchpin by Seth Godin, suggesting you shouldn't even have an CV in the first place. So Linchpin, a book of Seth Godin, which is a marketer and a really good marketer as well, is actually something I wanted to read as well, so in my leisure time or privately, so not on the channel, but maybe I will actually do it on the channel as well. And maybe he has even a summary on his page, on the powermoves.com page. Would be pretty good. But it's definitely true. I think as Dale Carnegie, or actually Carnegie, as I now know, I think he's called. So the author of How to Win Friends and Influence People also said is that it's 20% skills and 80% on how to really just, you are able to deal with people. And this equation just, turns out or just makes your success. So if you are just, really, really skillful and you just have a really great knowledge, but you can't deal with people, you're fucked. The other way around is also not that good, but you can still make a little bit up for, on both sides. So as Bill Gates also said, and you can definitely just a little bit feel is that he was just really, really not good at social interactions when he first started Microsoft or just in his really early days. And it was really just work for him to find out how to interact with people and so on, which he has said in an interview, if I remember correctly. But it's not like, he was definitely such an, so intelligent that he couldn't deal with people and so on. Definitely not. So it just was a little bit a hard time for him. And so therefore it is important to really just be able to deal with people, handle people, first of all as an employee and also as an employer. So the impression in the first 15 seconds was strikingly similar to the overall impression at the end of the interview. Another striking example, you don't get a second chance to make a great first impression. And your nonverbal are key in those 15 seconds. This is a little bit problematic for me, to be honest, because I do have so much knowledge in how I could behave or what I could say with my nonverbal gestures or just with my body language, that I really keep attention to it. And I think this is, a good thing on one side, but also a bad thing on the other side, because I just know what I'm saying, I might be just too confident or seeming too confident, or where I should actually act a little bit less confident, a little bit shy, and maybe something like that, or something else. So it's a little bit tough for me right now, because I do have a job interview on Thursday. Is it Thursday? No, it's not Thursday. It's Tuesday. Sorry, on Tuesday. I do have a job interview on Tuesday for my internship for the summer. It's a pretty nice graphic design. It's an agency actually, with great work, and they were awarded several times, and so it's. I'm pretty much pumped for working at their place. I'm still hoping that I do get more knowledge in terms of the actual business rather than, designy things, which is also something I do want to get more knowledge of, because just knowing how I can market things better is essential for what I'm doing here. So definitely it is a little bit more complicated for me because I know too much. Linguistics, nonverbals, and status. There's a direct relationship between the vocabulary range and relative clarity of communication and the status and power people command. The higher up the person is, the less nonverbal gesture he will use because he can use the words to convey meaning. Less educated and less verbally accurate people will use more gestures to communicate as he tries to make up for vocabulary range. And this sounds incredibly crazy, but it makes sense on the other side. So this is also something I have never been thinking about like this, but it makes sense, yeah. Barbara and LP say that James Bond uses minimal body gestures, especially under pressure. High status people tend to keep their cool by revealing as little emotions as possible. Actors such as Jim Carrey play highly animated roles, and they are usually powerless and intimidated men. Wow, it also makes sense. This is a great thing about body language. You just hear something and you can just because of logic and just because of thinking, you can just be like, okay, this could be true or this could definitely not be true, and this is a good thing for us especially because we have around, I think it is actually 3 channels or 4 channels actually. We have the text or the opinion of the authors. We have the opinion of the author of the summary. You have my opinion and you have your own opinion. And so therefore you can just see, and actually also because of the notes, the author of the summary itself just puts there in the summary itself gives you an incredible chance to really have a lot of opinions and really have a lot of perspective on this whole topic, and therefore have a little bit more accuracy in just depending or just, choosing whether something is right or something isn't right or could be right. So golden keys to making great first impressions, or first impression, which is definitely something I will use on Tuesday, or hopefully will use on Tuesday, if I don't forget them. This is always a point. So in the reception, remove outerwear and avoid entering with your arms full of stuff that can make you look inept. I don't know what inept means, but okay, I'll do it. Standing in the reception area with hand in hand behind your back or the steeple and slowly rock back and forth on feet and never sit. So I do have to read it again. So stand in the reception area with hand in hand behind your back, which is definitely a body position I do just have all the time. I use it all the time, often consciously, often unconsciously, because it's something that I just like to stand like. And on the other side, I know what it meant, and I know what it is communicating. And before I forget, I do want to really invite you to go through the other episodes I've did on this book summary, which are, it's not the last, it's not this before. There must be something like body language or feet or some particular body segments should be in the title, and therefore I would just really, really appreciate, and I would really, really love you to just listen to them or check them out, and you can definitely get a lot of information out of them. And before I forget another thing, I do have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and a YouTube channel. On YouTube you can pretty much find the whole episode itself as a video form. So if you want to just look at the text yourself, or if you just, want to quite watch me talking, this would be also an opinion or option, sorry. But yeah, on Instagram they're usually, on Instagram, Facebook, and on Twitter they're usually all the same things with just good insights or just motivation or also knowledge. But yeah, so either you should stand with the hand in hand behind your back, or the steeple, which I do not really remember. This is always the bad thing. I do not remember any names also of titles, also names of titles of either musicians, so of the author of a song or the song itself, which is always a little bit of pity. But yeah, and never sit. The entry, when the receptionist told you you can go in, enter without hesitation, keeping the same speed. People lacking confidence change gears and perform a small shuffle as they enter. Okay, just the same speed. Approach, even if he is doing something, put down your briefcase, shake his hand and immediately take a seat. Show that you don't expect to be kept waiting. Okay? It's always like, I do quite feel like, okay, this could be true or this could not be true. The thing is, I do just pretty much quite rely on it, because there are so much good things in this book that the chance is pretty high that this is also something good or something that's actually right. Handshake, palm straight and match the pressure. Let him decide when to end the handshake. Sitting, if you have to sit in a low chair directly facing him, turn a chair 55 degrees so that you're not in the reprimed position, and if you can't turn the chair, turn your body. Avoid low sinking sofas and sit on the sofa's edge if needed. It is definitely something that could be a little bit challenging, the 45 degree angle, because it might look a little bit strange to the other person. If you just sit there in like a, let me see. So if he is facing you, or she, it's actually a thing like, it could also be a she. It doesn't have to be a he. So if you have to sit in a low chair directly facing him, turn a chair 45 degrees so that you're not in the prominent position. I do have to just not note something, but I have to. So if you just think like the tree, not the tree, but the table is in the middle of you two. So he or she is on the left side and you are on the right side. This is just facing. Okay. Then you would so to actually create a 45 degree angle towards this person. Now I get it. towards this person, you just might look quite directly to the edge of the table. So I'm just, kind of drawing it right now. So this would then be 45-degree angle. The problem is that you should be making a 90-degree angle with the other person, which then would mean that this would actually be it, but this doesn't seem to be right. So therefore, I think you're... But but let me say something. It definitely just feels a little bit strange. So I do just have to see if I can show you that. What I've just... I hope you can just see it a little bit. So there is... there is you. So the point under the table, which is the rectangle, is you, and above, where the line is actually, there is your interviewer, and you can see that if you have a line like that, this would then be a 90-degree angle, which is something that I wouldn't say you should be doing, because it doesn't make any sense if you just face some kind of wall or something and completely kind of you can't just do this, I think, because you're just looking at something else rather than the interviewer, which seems to be a little bit unpolite for me. But if you just take the second line, which is above the 90-degree line, this would, I think, and it would make sense, then be the 45-degree angle, which makes a little bit more sense, and it could be better, definitely. But I do still want to, maybe I can look it up right now, which would be a great thing, 45-degree angle. Body language. Yeah, this is a good, even though it's a little bit a bad scenario, this would be a good picture. So here now the video watchers do get a little bit more out of the experience. Therefore, I would just really, really invite you to just see what time it is, and just go to the video and just see the picture that I'm showing right now. This is a good position because they pointed out earlier in the summary that you should make a 45-degree angle, because you make the opportunity for somebody else to really join the conversation, which is something you can definitely see there. They both are just equivalent approaching her, kinda, and they quite stand towards her with a 45-degree angle, which just gives the other person the opinion or the opportunity to really get in the conversation as well, which is the same thing like here. Totally, because they both, or they all have the same approach, and they all have the same room, and they all seem similar. This is definitely I think the thing they were just quite talking about in terms of the interview. This seems to be a little bit wrong. I don't know. So, okay. I might try it. The thing is, it is really the only job interview I have right now, and I would just totally fuck everything up for my whole school, because I actually can't graduate if I do not have the 2 months of internship, and I still do have 1 month. So I do need it, actually, but it would be actually great to... Yeah. You're just finding my own podcast because you're just Googling body language is definitely a good thing to see. But I hope you got... Yeah, I hope... So, yeah, this could be true, Actually, the 2 lines that I've just... I just shown you might actually be the line beneath it, so actually the 90-degree line, but for me it seems a little bit too much. I don't know. It makes sense that you're not really facing the other person, because it's definitely a little bit more aggressive than just looking or being a little bit tilted or a little bit turned. But yeah, gestures, definitely avoid thinking sofas, because they definitely just let you look a little bit, I don't know, just smaller, even smaller, and I don't know, it just seems not to be right as I'm just visualizing it. Gestures. Cool people in control of their emotions use clear and deliberate gestures. High status individuals use fewer gestures than low status individuals. People with power don't have to move much. Mirror the other person when appropriate. This is definitely something that could work, definitely, because it's just, you're just kind of mirroring the other person. Therefore, the chance that they like you is much higher because on the other hand, if he's just your boss or she is just your boss, it might be a little bit unpolite, or might, you get into their area of just respect, or just, you get onto their level immediately when you just mirror their body language and, just act like them, which would be something that I wouldn't just suggest as well. I was thinking about my job interview in the last few days, a little bit about, or in terms of the body language actually, and I was like, I might just, make me a little bit smaller and seem a little bit, just a level just beneath the other person, because I think the boss just likes to be just the boss, and therefore just, maybe mirroring him or her might not be the best idea. The exit. Pack your things calmly and deliberately, shake hands and walk out. If you're a woman, turn around before you leave the room and smile, so the last impression will be your smile and not your rear. Yeah, that's... Okay, and when someone keeps you waiting, which is something that I have, if I understand it correctly, something that I have been experiencing before, because I just needed a sign of the guy whom or where I had the internship last year, and he definitely kept me waiting, and I just had to wait for a pretty long time, even though it's just a little bit of signing action and a little bit of a little text so on how I was doing and whatever for my school, so that they can actually see, okay, I was actually at that place and I'm not just faking the internship. So Barbara and LP said that if someone keeps you waiting for more than 20 minutes, they are either disorganized or it's a power move, because keeping one waiting or keeping you waiting reduces your status and enhances the status of the person making you wait. And therefore, at my point of view, this then would make sense that you actually just act like you're just a level beneath them or under them, whatever. So you're not on their same level in terms of, just status, or what do they say? I would actually say status. It would then make sense to just make your make your body language just how should I say to really have a body language that really just looks you or lets you look like you're just not that of a high status as the other person is, if they're just really letting you wait because they do just want to feel you differently, or just just beneath them as they are. So always bring an ebook or laptop with you and start working. When the person arrives, let them speak first, lift your head slowly and greet them, then pack smoothly. If they call you, you might even say you'll be there in a second, you just need to finish something, which is definitely a move I don't know you should actually be doing, because it definitely seems to be like, okay, this guy has something to do, I shouldn't let him wait. He's definitely somebody who is quite really in the game, and he has to do something as well, so I'm not the only one who is just, has just a lot to work. And on the other side, you just let him wait as well. So if he lets you wait, just by saying, okay, you just have to finish this one, please wait a second, you let him wait for just, a little bit of a second or a little bit of a time actually, but it will definitely make a change at my point of view. Another option is to make all the phone calls you had to do. The message is that you're a busy person and you're not going to lose time because of their organization or power games. If the other person takes a call during the meeting, or someone enters and start talking to your interviewer for a long time, take out your notebook and start reading. It gives them privacy and demonstrates you don't waste your time. If you feel he's doing it on purpose, take out your phone and do your course. Read more about this on what to do when someone makes you wait. This definitely kind of feels some kind of unpolite for me, on the other hand, but actually giving them the privacy is a good thing for me. So it would definitely be a good thing if I am the interviewer and just see, okay, he just, this is a little bit strange, because I do feel like, okay, if I do have an interview here and I just want to interview him, and just a person comes in and, has a quick talk and maybe it's a little bit longer, I quite feel like, okay, what is he doing right now? Does he just, is he so kind of popular or whatever if he just, starts working right now? But I don't know. So it would be incredible if you just, I might be even, so this is something I'm really quite not sure about. And this is, I think, actually something I won't quite try on Tuesday, because I do not really want to fuck the whole interview, which is definitely something I do not want to do, because, it's my only chance, kind of, which is something I shouldn't do, actually, because, if I fuck it up, which I will definitely not do, but just having a backup plan is always or often something that's quite good in terms of a job interview. And on the other side, guys as Arnold Schwarzenegger just tells you all the time, you shouldn't have a plan A because plan B distracts you from plan A. You shouldn't have a plan B because plan B distracts you from plan A, which is, quite a mixture out of, what Arnold Schwarzenegger was saying and Les Brown was saying. So they both kind of just act against the plan B because, as I said, they just think it's just distracting you. Some other tips: keep your fingers together. Open fingers and hands above the chin is perceived as less powerful, so keep your fingers together and hands below chin level. The elbows out. Sitting on the chair, keep your elbows on the armrest. Watch coat buttons. More agreements are reached when people have their coats unbuttoned. Okay, that's definitely interesting. Chairs and accessories. The higher the back of the chair, the more power and status it bestows upon the person sitting here. Swivel chairs have more power as they give more freedom of movement. This makes sense, but it's actually also something that I haven't been thinking about before, but it makes sense. Sitting distance. The farther away the visitor is placed from the interviewer, the lower the power. Okay, this also makes sense because, if it's actually something that's really important, and if the interviewer is actually some kind of business partner, they will definitely, sit besides each other or something else, because, why would you be just farther apart with someone you do just have to make, really, really important things with? So Barbara and LPs give a few fantastic examples on how to give feedback to a subordinate. They say you face that on for direct answers, 45 degrees for more personal questions to take the pressure off, and they also present a case study of how they rearranged an office to improve a manager's relationship with his employees. Some great stuff, and I invite you to check out the book. We will now go ahead with cons and pros, or actually only cons with cons of this book, and I will start right ahead. So, too many childish and sexual jokes. Okay, a lot of childish jokes, such as how to tell if a politician is lying, his lips are moving, or a cheeric picture with his hands far apart and the caption measuring the size of an issue or boasting about his love life. Yeah, but some of these were good. I did laugh at the picture of a humanized angry egg in female makeup and a roosted, both standing in bed. The rooster puffing a cigarette, all happy and smug, says, "Well, I guess that solves the question of who comes first." In another one, Barbara and LPs comment on physics of male human beings as being good for chasing, catching and wrestling animals, carrying heavy things and killing spiders. Actually a good thing. Even though I do quite, I think it's quite a fact that, males are just made some kind of to really just, be active in terms of physically active, in terms of, they carry heavy things and they just wrestle with animals, some kind of. So I do quite feel like it. And this is something I am quite interested in, on how, the actual female and male bodies in general, the human body is pretty much meant to be. Meant to be lived with in terms of actual what you should eat actually, and what you should consume, and all these stuffs, which I think the author of Homo Deus, which is, let me see, Let me have a look. Homo Deus. Yuval Noah Harari, which seems to be an incredible author. And I think he has actually made a book on this, or has written a book on this. I'm not quite sure. Maybe I'll look it up just after the episode, or just, after we've discussed the cons. So the author refers to Hitler more than once. One comment portrays Hitler butting an arm in front of his lonely testicle because he felt at odds with his sexuality. Albeit that might certainly be true, I'm not sure, but the author can be certain that was the case. Alan Pease also says that the candidate he advised won the election after he suggested him to shorten his lectern, look straight at the camera, and have the camera shoot his film from below. Pease implies the candidate won because of that, and it was proof that people don't vote based on debates, but on who looks best suited to be the leader. But it doesn't work like that. You can't just take a single variable and make your own definite conclusion. That's not how science or rational people for that matter function. And I do have to quite rearrange a thought of mine. So they just pointed out before, and I was not quite interacting with it that much. They pointed out that if it is actually a pretty personal question, then you should be in a... I'm such a fucking... I just moved my cable and the whole screen went black of the TV in front of me. And I do hope, because I was having some kind of problems with it before, but never mind. So I haven't quite interacted with it anymore, but I do just have to. Oh my god. This doesn't seem to be good. I don't know why, everything was working quite when I was at home before. So I don't know what's going on right now. Maybe I should plug it out and plug it in again. And then I hope everything is quite good. But it should be. And the most important part is that the fucking recording is okay. Yeah, everything is okay. So what I wanted to say is that if it is a personal question, being in a 45-degree angle is definitely good, because you're not facing the other person in terms of, actually kind of attacking him, because you're just fronting him or her, which makes sense. So therefore, this is also something to look for. So not always, because every single conversation should be in a 45-degree angle, but maybe just have to have some variables. But it's actually true, I think, that this conclusion with the camera angle might not be the truest one, because it makes sense on the one hand, but the author of the article has also some kind of truth behind his saying, because it also makes sense what he is saying, that only because you just choose another camera angle doesn't mean that your whole lecture or speech is something different. But yeah. Unscientific researches. A few of the researches he ran were good for anecdotal evidence, but not scientific. Pease wanted to prove the theory that a man needs to be 1.09 times taller than a woman for a successful relationship. So he picks some random couples respecting the 1.09 ratio that are still together, and some that don't abide the ratio and aren't together anymore. If you are reading this site, you're smart enough to know that makes little sense. Totally, and it is always important to be a little bit more skeptical when you're reading anything. In terms of books, most of the time I quite feel like, okay, nobody would, just have the time and have the money for actually producing a book or writing a book that is actually full of shit. Which means that, in books, or in terms of books, you probably do not have to be that skeptical. But in terms of articles on the internet, you should definitely be skeptical and just look for things and just use your head and your brain to really be like, okay, could this be true or could this not be true? Random paragraph names. Some paragraphs names don't reflect the content, and paragraph structures are not nearly arranged. Sometimes information about X was under Y, or sometimes some summaries introduced new topics. Okay, which is something, you could just, it's definitely something that might be pissing you off a little bit, because, it's just a little bit, how should I say? I don't know. Never mind. So the review, the Definitive Book of Body Language is a fantastic book. I listed a lot of cons and some of them are really valid points on what could be improved, but the Definitive Book of Body Language delivers lots of values and insights. And if you're reading the summary to improve your social skills, you may check out my social skills summary and my in-depth social mastery guide. So actually the author of this book, and I just see now that, I can't look it up. For sure I can look it up. The Definitive Book of Body Language. I just want to see how much it is, what it costs, and I just can't look it up on fucking Amazon, but I could on another tab. But on Goodreads it has actually 3.98 rating. Is there a way I can see what this is costing? I don't think so. So never mind. I'm just debating with myself now if I should actually start another book right now, because this actual episode was quite great, because everything went well, the speaking went well, with the episode everything went well. I do hope that the audio is well as well, and so nothing is fucked and whatever. I don't know, maybe I quite can talk about my experiences with Instagram I've made, because I do just have a few posts tomorrow that will be about, what works for me a little bit better on Instagram, and what I've seen just gives me more likes and more attention or whatever. I think in general on Instagram it's very important to first of all have an aesthetic post. People just definitely see it. I don't know how, because not everybody is just in the realm of design or art or whatever, but people do quite mention, I think, I'm not quite sure, I could look it up. I think people will just still mention, something that's aesthetic and something that's not that aesthetic, but something that's definitely important is contrast. I've seen that posts with less contrast do get in the big picture, so often it's like, the message is great and so the picture still gets a lot of likes, but if you do just have a picture with, plain white text and just a really boring background, the chances are high that you don't get as much like as a picture with just really, really vibrant colors and maybe something like some emphasizing in it with colors, for example. I think it always works quite well if you do have a black text and, use yellow as some kind of color to just, point out certain, words of this text or certain phrases of the text, which seems to be giving me more likes. I don't know why. It makes some kind of sense because it's making the whole picture a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more interesting to look at. And therefore, in general, contrast is important, as I was saying, because every screen is some kind of different, and you do just see the post itself on a very, very small size. If just going through the feed and the search tab and whatever, all these posts are just really small, and these posts who are just then sticking out may or just probably do have higher contrast than the other ones and just are more vibrant in terms of the color, and maybe you even have such a big text that you actually can read it when you are on the search tab as well. Something I've also seen is that if you do just have the same post over and over and over again, unless you're really a person who is just, either famous or really public, or so a lot of people know you, just to make it simpler. For me, just having a few, and always some kind of new creative ways on how I could make my posts, and just something I've quite stolen from Gary Vee is putting some kind of interface on my posts, which means that you practically, and if you have seen the last post of him, he uses, for example, the bar of your messages app, not your messages app, but your email app, and then it just looks like you have gotten an email from him and so on. I've used it with Instagram on Instagram, so therefore I've just used my Instagram name and this kind of bar you have above your name, so that you know where your name is and your profile picture is and so on. So at the end, I had it 2 times on my post when you were clicking on it. I thought it would work a little bit better. It didn't. But yeah, actually framing in general seems to be a good thing. And what else? What else is important? Yeah, in general, what I wanted to say initially is that you should have multiple, for me at least, it worked. You should have multiple kind of designs, not always the same thing, like, a picture in the background, a little bit more dark thing in the foreground, and then a plain text on it. It's definitely something that a lot of people and a lot of, especially in the motivation realm, do have. It's always some kind of picture in the background and then just a little bit dark. So they made the picture a little bit darker and then a plain white text on it. For me, I've seen that if I do have, just to make make the fucking long story short, different designs, just and creative designs and new ways of how you could actually talk about your point and whatever. It seems to be working for me. If I do just put out the same stuff over and over and over again without actually changing up things, it definitely doesn't work that well for me. But I do think, and I'm not quite sure what book I should go on with. I think definitely on the powermoves.com website, because it is just the best website. I'm quite sorry, there are just a lot of good websites like Paul Miner's, which is definitely also pretty detailed and has a lot of good information and good books on it. But the powermoves.com just have 400 plus book summaries, which is incredible, and they all itself are incredible. Just sometimes, the spelling mistakes can be a little bit disturbing and can just orientate, whatever. They can just, a little bit fuck with you, but it's totally okay, I think. And also you have free access to it most of the time. So yeah, it's definitely a great site. I do just think what could the next genre could be, and I don't know. I think like sales and influence is something we've been discussing quite often. Business is something that's always quite great to discuss about, because there are a lot of great books and so on. But the downside of it is that a lot of people just talk about the same shit, especially the whole mindset and money mindset thing, where the people just talk about, you can't have a bad attitude towards money and this isn't working because of that, and they just talk about mindset, and they just talk about like, okay, if you do have the right mindset, you just can earn money just because of your mindset, which is definitely something I'm not supporting, because only just being like, okay, you do just have to have the kind of mindset and nothing else without execution or whatever. That's total bullshit. You just have to execute something, you have to work on something, and without that good stuff, nothing will work or nothing will come to you. If just, lay around, but you're deeply sure that you will gain a lot of money, the money won't come. It is definitely hard. But let's scroll through a few of them. You've just seen The Work, which is definitely a book I've been quite enjoying. I've been discussing it as well on this channel. Good to Great from Jim Collins. I do know him, I think. But yeah, I do think also, I do just have to see, biographies are actually also something I do quite enjoy, because I think like, they just talk about how that person became that person and so on, and you can definitely learn a lot from that. Especially it is, I think, just a book genre you just can enjoy pretty much, because there is no bullshit in it, and there is nothing like, some fiction stories are just bad written, and the story itself isn't that good, and therefore just real stories and biographies therefore are quite great in terms of that. But I do not see something like that at the moment. But I do think we will just end this episode right there. I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, or whatever time it is actually. And I hope you are happy, successful. So I just wish you success, happiness, wealth, health. I hope that you're giving back something, because at my point of view, it is important. And I hope you have a great legacy in terms of you always being nice and a person, people just want to be around with. So with that being said, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you the next time. So actually today, somewhere or somewhen, whatever.